Play.
Nice to finally get a coach that gets the whole TV industry to give it back to the commentators, isn't it, Brad? That's what we like to see.
Brian's such a good guy. He's one of my very close friends, and I really enjoy spending time with him.
If he likes you, he must be a good guy.
He's a great guy. He has to be.
59.
Wow, what a return, and there we go.
And we've seen already these first 2 points. This is the battle within the battle here is serve and return. Ben trying to keep Musetti from putting too many balls in play and forcing him to have to grind a little bit. And just like we heard from Ben Shelton, Ben needs to try and be able to put more balls in play. That's been kind of his Achilles heel through his career at this point, is a bit of inconsistency in the return. If Brian's right and we see him able to put a lot more balls in play, I think that's going to be really scary for a lot of people out here.
Simone Tartarini on the left of your picture there, looking after Musetti. Interesting to see Ben's second serve, how much he moves it around to the forehand and the backhand. It always feels like an easy win for a lefty going into a one-handed backhand, but I think he'll move it around a bit. It is a class shot. He also takes it very high, Musetti, on the takeaway, so he's up with the ball.
Pretty little point right there, and that's where we're going to see the artistry of
40-30.
Lorenzo Musetti. He held that backhand, let Ben kind of commit to closing, and then threw up the lob.
Just beautiful speed, great delivery. Good consistency, but already just a little inkling of what we're going to enjoy over the next couple of hours.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always interesting as well in these 3 out of 5 set matches to see if someone like Ben, who is a great server, if as the match goes on longer and longer, if Musetti can keep him out here and make it a little bit physical, does he start to lose his legs a little bit?
When predictors it's just toned it down a little bit. It's been on steroids for most of the first week, but it's just kind of calmed down. It calmed it down this morning, which was nice to see with Navarro and Jabeur. It was like a 60-foot. To be fair, Brad, and I said this on air earlier, it actually pretty much nailed the Djokovic-Majic match. We gave it a hard time, but it was 91% for Novak, and it pretty was that.
Yeah, it was pretty accurate. We saw right there exactly what Ben's dad, Ben Shelton, was talking about. Went back on the first second serve return look there. That's definitely an adjustment. Historically, Ben stands in pretty tight and tries to take the return early off the second serves.
Tommy found any difference in the speed of courts, depending on where he's playing?
Yeah. I mean, he's played on 3 different courts, obviously. He's played 3 matches. He played on Kia, he played on 1573, and then he played here. And the 1573 court was extremely fast. Extremely. Way different than the other 2 courts.
30-15.
I think he felt that Kia and here were more similar to each other, both playing, I would say, medium fast. I think a good pace, a good They're fair, I think, for everybody. 1573 was quick, a little bit different feel for sure.
Very all.
A little bit of a shaky start here from both guys. You see Musetti there shaking his arms out, giving a little bit of a jump there. A little bit tension at the start of the match, just trying to work your way in, feeling comfortable.
Quality. Conceived in Orlando at the National Tennis Centre there, executed to perfection here in Melbourne from Ben Shelton. And an early opportunity for the American.
I'll be interested to see where Lorenzo goes here on this first break point. Rhythm on his serve just looks a bit off right now. Struggled with the first serve so far, double faulted already in this game one time.
How's that for a start? Yes, the door was opened by the double faults from Musetti. But Shelton doesn't need another invitation.
Great returning there. Good stuff from Ben. Way to attack on that ball, put the pressure on instantaneously. Not the start you want from the Italian camp. Got to dig deep now if you're going to be able to try and get a break back throughout this set at some point. Oftentimes the best time to have that happen is right after the break initially. See if you can get the boomerang.
Just missed it. Patient rally from Musetti, trying to find a little rhythm.
Yeah, that's the point that Musetti wants to repeat over and over again. He went all the way to the back fence on that second serve return. A la Rafa a little bit. I had to almost stand up from our vantage point to be able to see him. I was wondering if Ben might serve him volley out of that play. Musetti going deep again. A little bit tougher on this side against the left-hander.
So I say his takeaway as a one-hander is already up at shoulder and above. So when that ball is rising, which it does even on Ben's second serve from back there, he's actually in a nice place to strike. A lot of the one-handers are almost sort of waist height. And then you've got to pick the racket up to catch up to it.
You're talking about yours.
We're not. That shot doesn't deserve to be discussed. Good little shout from Brad early on. That's why we pay him $10 an hour. Little serve and volley from Ben Shelton there just to counter the deep position.
Yeah, you've got to figure that, you know, with Ben's game, I mean, that fits into Ben's game, and he can hit such a big second serve that if Musetti's going to return from that deep in the court, I would imagine he's going to start serving and volleying on a pretty regular basis on second serves.
Wow.
That's a good pass.
15,
The approach from Ben could have been a little bit better. Pretty shot there. It's actually in reach. I feel like Ben didn't read that ball particularly well.
I think he almost lost it in the shadow.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. Shadows on this court right now are very difficult.
Excellent serve. Not just well located, but good pace behind it at 175.
Petch, am I wrong, or does Lorenzo look a little bit leaner? I've seen him walking around in the locker room, and I just feel that his face, and he just looks a little bit leaner. I'm just going with the eye test on that.
Stunning rally. And that's what these two can produce when they take on each other.
Yes.
And Ben had to be incredibly vigilant on that last volley.
Smash down the middle. Great counter from Musetti. Knew he was going to get to this ball. Question is where he was going to be able to play it. Just missed on the cross-court angle. Ben serving right in that sun. I think that this is really tough for Musetti. The ball's going up in the sun and then coming into the shadow.
Advantage Shelton.
He won't be happy with himself on that one. That was an interesting little adjustment there as well. It took that second serve return much earlier and played the chip off the backhand side.
Great serve and volleying from the American is forcing Musetti to have to make an adjustment, which of course does lend itself to a big second serve from Ben. He took 10 Ks off that second serve compared to the previous one, but he can jam him if he needs to. That is a huge hold of serve and the perfect start for Shelton. 3-love.
Shelton leads 3 games to love.
Came down here, took care of fellow Italian in 4 sets, won a couple of breakers against Analdi, and then Denis Shapovalov a couple of breakers in the opening 2 sets before getting past the Canadian 6-2. His Canadian visa for the summer is looking in doubt.
Is that how that works?
If I was in government, it would.
Musetti's struggling with the first serve so far. Not very deep into the match, but he's at 33% at this point on first serves. As I said in the last game, just seems to be struggling to find his rhythm a little bit.
The first really tame end to a point really for Ben Shelton. Yeah, that compares to a season average for the Italian last year of 64%. He is usually one of those guys that's putting in those sort of numbers.
He's never he's not a huge server in general, so he's looking more for targets and then the ability to use the serve to open court and be able to use his ground strokes to maintain an advantage.
Yeah, 68 matches for Lorenzo last year. Produced 227 aces. Actually coughed up 107 doubles as well. That's not the greatest ratio for a player in the world's top 20, 2-1.
No, absolutely not. Just a little erratic here overall from Musetti so far.
Just wonder if there was any sign of a little injury there, the way that he was just stretching out.
Exactly. We both are looking at the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah. He's too good an athlete to get that over.
30-14.
He's about to break this first set wide open if he can convert here.
Ask the question.
Yes.
Nice serve +2 there. It ended up being +1, but that was a +2 play. Serve, first ball, come forward, looking to finish at the net.
So good from Shelton through the middle of the court.
And for me, that's the side that Ben returns better on in general. We talk about his return, but the two-handed side is much more simple. He can keep the swing compact. He goes through it. He always has forward momentum on that side.
Yes.
That's what I was talking about before on break points. When Tommy's played him, one of the things we've talked about is that you have to serve a pretty high percentage of first serves to the forehand, and then you come back to the backhand on second serves. When the ball's kicking up and it's a little bit slower, he has some difficulty generating pace on that kind of a ball. But when it's coming through fast on the first serve, he attacks them off the backhand side.
I'd say that was a really good return of serve there. He just massaged it back. He didn't try and swing too hard. And getting himself back in play so often in this opening segment of this match is creating more pressure on the Musetti serve.
Yes.
Even Lorenzo's body language post that point suggests that maybe he's not feeling 100%. There may be something that's irritating him. He also had his left hand to his chest there, like right in the center maybe. Not sure if it's an injury or... maybe some bad Putinesca.
Advantage Musetti.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling with something.
And we see him again here with his hand to his chest in an area where it looks like it's either something rib related, high chest area, low chest area, but high rib cage, or honestly, I think it could be maybe. Anyone that's ever had a little bit of acid reflux, It's very uncomfortable at times. Where he's putting his hand to his chest, I mean, that's the only other thing that I could think of potentially.
Hasn't lost any pace on his serve, so at the moment in that regard it's not hurting him from a velocity point of view, but unquestionably there is the discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see his face and his hand to his chest there, and I struggle sometimes with acid reflux. I don't know if you've ever had it, Mark. It's you just get this burning sensation, sometimes a little higher up in the chest, almost to the throat, sometimes lower, right exactly where he's looking at it. It's very uncomfortable.
Just a little nod at that gentleman with a hat on there. It was never going to get dropped. Just poetry.
That's a bomb. Oh. That's an absolute bomb. I think that's, let me see. Miles per hour, that's 136?
0.7.
0.7, thank you.
You just had to do the maths in my head.
You do this more than me, so.
Well, you could also look right to where you're sitting.
Oh, wait, we have all that stuff here in the booth? That's unbelievable. That's pretty. That's what we talked about before, where the artistry, racket head speed and acceleration. You were talking about, you see how high he sets the racket? To me, many of the best one-handed backhands are set a little bit higher like that. I feel like that's a little bit more of a European style than North American, maybe UK.
When was the last time you saw a good, well, apart from Tim Henman's, when the last see a good one-hander coming out of the UK?
Tim.
That's what I mean, apart from that.
And his wasn't set very high like that.
I mean, it's partly because the environment, right? They play on clay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well done by Ben. I mean, we're joking a little bit here, but to be serious, when you think about it, you know, that's the way you set a forehand a little bit more. You set the racket up like that in your unit turn. And I think the guys that do grow up playing on clay, they have a little bit stronger grip, and they tend to set the racket like that. And Musetti makes it's a very circular motion and swing, and that's great countering. But that one pass that he took cross court there, you see what he's capable of generating with the racket head speed. Great movement. A little bit of a continental grip there, shoveling that one over and keeping it down.
So good from Ben
Shelton.
Electrifying start. No doubt his opponent is a little bit hampered, but he has got his tactics absolutely spot on. And he is on point, up 4-1.
That occurred after that.
Winning takes care of a lot of things at whatever level you get it done at.
There's no substitute for winning matches and going to those challengers and getting some wins. Extremely important, obviously. So yeah, it's I always say it doesn't matter if you're beating your grandmother in your backyard, you're still winning matches, you know. It makes you feel better about yourself.
Does it though? If you're beating your grandmother, do you feel great?
Well, my grandmother
about
was a hell of a player, so take that, Grandma. You know, definitely a little concerning there on that changeover, though, watching him also. I mean, that was a full medical examination, you know, blood pressure, checking with the stethoscope for his breathing, seeing if there's any blockage there. Obviously, heart rate and what's going on exactly with him. I mean, still not entirely clear. They didn't give him anything, I don't think. They just did an examination. Great play there from Ben again. You know, you wonder maybe
15-30.
We know this with some players here and there, maybe just a bit of anxiety over the match itself, coming out and playing. Who knows? Tough to really pick exactly what's going on. But as you said before, Mark, doesn't seem to be an actual injury like the type of thing that we would. Wow, that's a great shot that we would think of with a tennis player. It's not a strained muscle or something like that. Something else going on with Lorenzo Musetti. Great hold on that ball.
Oh. (40-30).
From that suboptimal start to the season for Musetti, he actually ended up having a career year in terms of picking up 40 matches on the ATP. Hadn't been anywhere near that number really up until last year.
Oh.
Just wonderful to watch. Not a moment's hesitation that he was going to take that out of the air.
None whatsoever. We see this early. This is where Ben does the vast majority of his damage, finding that the forehand from the off side of the court for him, the deuce side, and playing it inside out into the forehand of his opponents. He's, you know, sometimes you would think, you don't want to go into the forehand, but that's his best play. He loves taking the ball that direction. Got away with one there. He actually made an incredibly good drop shot on that first ball. He was a little deep to play that ball in the first place. Look where he is. He's a good 2 feet behind the baseline when he played that. Actually hit a very good drop shot from that position.
A really rare miss off the return from Shelton. Musetti's serve has been under siege. Advice coming up here.
Shelton leads 4-2.
Simone just trying to get a gauge on what's actually wrong with Musetti down there.
It doesn't look like this was even something that actually was happening before the match. It looks like Simone didn't know what was going on. Like what's happening here?
Love 15.
That last hold so big just to keep himself within one break. Try and give himself a chance to get back on level ground.
Oh. Love 13.
Hey.
15-13.
That's just a great left-handed can opener.
30 all.
Slides that so far off the court.
That is a special serve.
So much action on that ball. You said that coming in at 184, but this one he just carved it, similar to the last one, but down the tee just continues to run away from Musetti. Just can't catch up to that ball.
11 for 6.
A little bit of a net skimmer on the return. It would have been a tough pickup anyway for Shelton.
I think that's the important thing from Musetti's standpoint when he does stand that deep. If Ben counters that with serving and volleying, he has to look to try and drop the ball short in front. Make Ben have to come up with a half volley or a low volley from that position. Did a great job of it there on that one. When you do stand deeper like that, you get so much time to see the guy coming forward, and it's relatively easy from that far back to drop the ball inside the service line.
And that is one of the outcomes of when you serve and volley, which is why when you look at players when they never serve and volley, even if they lose the point, but if you serve and volley at 30 all, eventually you're going to catch a return like that because Musetti thought he might come in.
Yeah.
And he flirts with the top of the net.
100%.
It'll always go down as a missed return, but it's just great strategy being executed beautifully by the 22-year-old American. And he's a game away from this opening set. In a row, 15 straight matches. That's when the world of tennis kind of stood up and realized that he was going to be something a little bit special.
Thank you, players already. Thank you.
Showcased it over the last couple of years and is doing so again today. From Musetti.
15 love.
I mean, that's just so incredibly impressive. Just flattened that one out, lowered the trajectory, hammered that through the court. So calm and quiet. That replay right there, how still his head and his upper body was on that swing. Again.
It's gone full Maverick, Mag 10. He's just the cleanest ball striker when you give him time.
Goodness. I thought he was going to struggle to get to that.
30-15.
Not only did he get to it, but that was just such a strong little wrist flick. This is not a full swing. Watch, look, that was fully out of the hand. Said he was impressed.
Oh.
You don't need to see the video. You know it was spilled.
That's a little bit of 15. Ben Shelton there. You see the pass from before, such a spectacular shot, and then a pretty basic forehand there that he just lets get away. That's sometimes he can be running a bit hot and cold like that.
Oh. Musetti.
There is an undeniable logic as we see the Italian give himself one last chance to try and break the American in playing that type of erratic tennis from Ben Shelton, particularly when he's got the lead, because it just doesn't give this man any rhythm.
Yeah, I don't think it's purposeful.
No,
without a doubt, but you're exactly right. You come off the court after having played Ben sometimes, and you hear players just say, just couldn't find a rhythm out there. And that's the same, obviously, with returning the serve. You make a return here and there. But it's tough to develop a consistent rhythm and consistency on the return. And that makes you feel like you don't have a lot of rhythm as well. A guy like Musetti wants to find the rhythm. He wants to make Ben have to stretch the points out so that he can get more comfortable with what he wants to do. But it's just hard to do against Ben. There we see it again. That swing just technically, mechanically is not fantastic. Very vertical on that swing. But he'll come back and drop a bomb right here, probably.
Oh.
Pretty good job by Ben there, just neutralizing, defending with the slice a little bit.
Musetti picked the right side.
He just stayed at home there. Ben went big on that overhead, but just to the wrong side. It was a great first volley by Ben, and then that last one, just kind of swiping at the ball. He's got to control that a little bit better. Musetti here with a little bit of pressure.
Is that a string?
I don't think so. I think it was just a mishit. Oh, maybe. Yes. Yes, you're right. You're right again. I know your wife told me that you're always right.
Exactly. They should have called the ELC, machine Mark, because it's always right.
Wow. No ego. That's tough. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a nightmare time to break the string.
30-all. Trying to get the break back. You make the return and break a string. That's some crazy bad luck right there.
Yeah, he knew it, didn't he? So important to play with a broken string in practice when that happens, to try and get yourself out of trouble. Tallinn couldn't. Shelton with set point.
Nicely done. I'm going to give you a little. We have Hugo Armando, who helps Tommy in Florida when I'm not there, and Hugo told Tommy something this offseason that I'd never heard before, that when you break a string, you got to flip the racket to play on the other side, because you never break the string right in the center. It's always a little bit higher or lower. I don't like that play right there from Musetti. You're there. You've got to play a little bit of defense again from that position. Too big a point to let that go, and that was kind of a 1 in a million, trying to be the hero on that last ball.
Drops the heat, and he pockets the opening set, the American, by 6 games to 3.
Breathing. Medical staff came up. He did take something, I think, and it seemed to really make a huge difference. Oh.
Shane to the opening service game from the opening set there from Musetti with the double fault.
Oh. Despite the double fault here to start this game, a better start from Musetti here for the second set. Taking the circular route to try and get to that ball. He was on the move to cover the down the line there.
Musetti.
Hasn't missed too many of those. 20% of Musetti's serves only have been unreturned. That is a very low number, and it just underlines how well Ben has returned in this opening.
Round again from that position, but he's going to make a lot more balls, and that's been the singular biggest thing that Ben has needed to develop better is his return games. If he breaks on a more regular basis, with the regularity that he holds, he just becomes exponentially more difficult to play against. I hope he's not listening to this. Stay close.
Well, Brian said he doesn't listen to us, so he'll be fine.
It's an interesting play right there that we don't see very much nowadays. Approach right down the middle, closing forward. When you approach down the middle, you don't give the guy any angle to work with on the passing shots. With Ben's reach, probably would be able to cut off just about anything that comes at him from that position.
Where's the best place to go if you are Musetti in that situation?
I mean, for me, that's you try and create a little bit of angle and dip the ball. That's got to be a two-pass play. You're probably not going to make the pass off the first ball. You got to dip the ball and then look for the next ball.
Ben Shelton. Många mål.
The conundrum that is Ben Shelton's serve for Musetti right now. Toggling through the speeds very nicely, the American, and spins.
Nice maneuvering point there from Musetti. You know, it's funny, like you said after that last game. I mean, you can't be upset as a player because you don't get looks at break points against Ben Shelton. The key is to keep holding serve. You've got to take care of your own serve, which Musetti did not do in the first set. You've got to try and limit those kind of errors on your own service games. Especially in this set, serving from in front. Get a good hold and then take your chances where you can. Hopefully Ben gives you a little bit of help. He's the kind of guy that you need a little help from. You need him to miss a few first serves. That was pretty. That's what he was looking for in the last point. He just got a little bit late. Contact point got behind him on the one before, and he lost it out wide. But this one, nice drop step. Great load on the right leg, and contact point was perfect. Nicely constructed point there again from Musetti. Controlled, good depth. The forehand that he took up the line was comfortable. He wasn't rushed.
Still not put an ace on the board as of yet, but he has put a couple of games on the board in this second set. 2-1 Musetti.
Has expectations that you're going to have a number of days where it's very hot. They're one of the tournaments that originated the heat rule because of the extreme temperatures here at times, but we really haven't had them at all so far in this tournament. Today was the hottest, but I wouldn't describe it as oppressive in any way, shape, or form.
Love 15.
It's one of the few times, maybe the first time, that Musetti's won the first point on Ben's serve. Mark, my statistician, is going to look it up. It's a little bit like a grass court match. When you win that first point, you get this tiny sense that you have a chance. Nicely done by Ben there.
59.
Musetti trying to be a little creative with that pass. I think that's a ball where you just have to try and play a little bit of pace, try and keep it as low as you possibly can, make Ben have to hit a volley.
30-15.
Actually, the second time that it's happened. Actually, the third time it's happened. A couple of times in the opening set that he's dropped the opening point. That third game, of course, a couple of break points saved by Shelton.
40-15.
Dropped the opening point of that game, but absolutely no look in there for Musetti after that. 4 terrific points for Shelton, and he continues to have a stranglehold on this match. Had a decent record against left-handers over the last 15 matches, has Musetti. Won 11, lost just 4.
Including his last round.
And the one-hander from Musetti there, of course, not always a great strength against a big server, and Ben against one-handers in recent times, won 8, lost just 3. Try to add a little pace to that one. It's been noticeable how he's just been able to kind of knock this first serve back from Musetti, not swing quite as hard at the ball.
Halt.
Yeah, this not a great return game from Ben so far.
Seals the game, comfortable one for. Wasn't the complete making of Ben Shelton, of course, this tournament, but it was Well, we saw the headlines that he was going to generate back home in America by being successful overseas. His first trip overseas, of course, back in 2023. First time he needed to use his passport when he came down to Australia. And it may not have been the splash that he ultimately made, because in that opening round against Zheng Chuzhen, he ended up saving a match point before making the last 8. Also got past JJ Wolf in 5 tough sets. And he hit a few of those against Tommy Paul, but not enough, who got him in 4.
15-all.
Yeah, this is the one where letting him have this ball, I mean, you're obviously not trying to, but Musetti giving him the opportunity to be able to move around and find that forehand pretty comfortably from that position. It's a little bit of a tactical error from Musetti. He's got to work harder to get that cross court, stay on the backhand.
Well, a little breezy down there.
15,
but he would have backed himself to make that, and just how costly may that be.
Thank you, please. Thank you.
What a weapon. Just erase the advantage there. Such a pressure reliever for him as well, to not have to play the point out.
Oh. Oh. 13-14.
First double.
Where does he go? This is the question. You're on the Musetti side. Do you lean?
Oh.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And what a way to gain your first break of the match.
All credit to Lorenzo Musetti there. Ben did not give in that point, made him play. Musetti able to extract the short ball finally. Great job on the approach, great job on the volley. Not an easy volley from that position. Man, he put that right in the corner.
Interesting just looking at the concentration of circles there and how many went to the backhand side of the American.
Absolutely, and as I said before, he didn't allow Ben to find a forehand from Ben's offside. All the forehands that Ben hit were from his forehand side of the court.
15 love.
It's a little bit of role reversal here as well. The first set, you know, you feel when Ben gets the break that then it's on his strings. If he's serving well, it's going to be tough for Musetti to get back the other way. Now you feel it's still on Ben's strings because he's got to make returns. Good job there on the 15 love point.
Great location for that shot from Shelton. No angles to work with for the Italian, just trying to deny the American here.
That approach just pulled it into the center a little bit. Might have been better off playing a slice from that position. I think he would have been able to slide it up closer to the line.
Pulls out the scalpel and just knifes that backhand.
Yeah, one of the things, I think that's one of the things, the areas that he's really improved in. He uses the slice more often now. He sticks it through the court. I think that's one of the bases for why he was so successful on the grass last summer. Forehand up the line did the damage there. That was some serious precision with that ball up the line. Ben did a great job to make him have to play out of that. I think he cut that overhead a little closer than he wanted to. That ball.
Oh.
Trying to be a little more impactful with that forehand, Shelton unable to do so. Musetti shifting this second set in his favor, 5-2. Is something a little special, and they could be here a while, these fans. Musetti within touching distance of leveling things up.
Love. Very low. Love.
That's the thing about a serve. It does take the racket out of your opponent's hands. It can really change the tempo of a set.
Absolutely, but at the same time, it's
5 games to 3.
5-3 Musetti. Interesting there. That's kind of a pressureless game in a way. You know, it's the previous service game. Ben hurt himself. 30-all double fault is what gave Musetti the opportunity for the break point that he was able to convert on. Now we've got the real meat and potatoes of what we want to see here. Well done from Lorenzo Musetti there.
15 love.
One of the best first serves we've seen from him. That really opened the court. Ben did a good job just to make him have to hit that overhead from deep in the court.
Love. Love.
Shelton unable to make an impression. Musetti certainly has in this second set. Decisive turnaround.
Second set. Musetti.
Plenty of fire in that celebration from Musetti. Long way to go in this one. It's a set apiece.
1 set all.
Yeah, an hour and 20 minutes out here, and we're all even.
15 love.
Down to best 2 out of 3 now.
Left. For service. Love. Love. Game Shelton.
Starting to rattle through service games.
First game, third set.
Some year 2022 for youngsters rising through the rankings. Same year that Alcaraz at 19 started 2022 at 32 in the world, ended up as world #1. Holger Rune also from Denmark at 19 was outside the world's top 100, finished 11 in the world. Jack Draper went from outside 250 to inside the world's top 50. Ben, another huge rise from outside the world's top 550 to inside the world's top 100 in 12 months.
Yeah, it was meteoric, without a doubt.
Love.
And there are a lot of very good players on the men's tour sitting around the 19, 18 to 22, 23 age. Any of those 27-year-olds that haven't won a major yet, better get a shift on.
Speaking of anyone specifically?
There's a few names out there.
Love.
Good communication always between Ben and Brian. Brian, of course, the only head coach to win the NCAA in both men's and women's. Won it with Georgia Tech and with the Florida Gators. Pretty significant achievement.
Musetti.
Rock solid on serve, both players at the start of the third.
Mål.
Yeah, Bryant's is also just a class act. Calm, but at the same time, there's a burning desire within him when he was a player and now as a coach. Not easy to coach your own child, son or daughter. And anyone that's read any sports psychology books on that will know that it's also tough for the player. You just hear things a little bit differently when it comes from a parent. And you mentioned it earlier. I think Ben and Brian do such a great job. You can see the respect. Cleared the net by millimeters there.
50-0.
Just didn't give Ben any options on that ball.
Yeah. 30-15.
A little bit of luck.
40-15.
You can't be judging everyone by your standards.
Not sure he meant to cut this quite that close.
It's going to be close. It's a good word, Brad, between these two. They knew it was going to be a battle. It was going to be a rare thing if somebody got through this in straight sets. 2.
15-0.
Jason Brooksby was there over the sort of Christmas period. Mackie McDonald.
I like that play from Ben. I think he needs to do a little bit more of that. Don't be satisfied to let Musetti extend the rallies. Here he kind of bullied his way in. A little bit of a short ball there from Musetti. Jumps on it, comes forward. That's where Ben can really expose his athleticism in a way that takes advantage of his offense and his capabilities up there at the net.
The one thing I loved about that video as well was his court positioning. He's having a little look at the line here. He felt that may have been a little deep. So many players you watch who don't really understand where to position, come in, and then they just head to the middle of the court and open up pretty much both sides. He was way off center.
Yeah, we heard Brian saying that, you know, they spent a portion of the offseason working on volleys, working on positioning, trying to get his transition and his net game even better than it already is. And that's a massive aspect of that, is the proper positioning based on where the volley's going, following the target.
40-15.
Just as others are going to have to be patient against Shelton as he continues to rain down big first serves, so does the young American on return.
Musetti. Two games all.
Shelton unable to create a breakpoint opportunity in the second set. He almost went up 4-love in the opening set, but that's the last time he had an opportunity to break the Italian. Definitely going to be a day where there are going to be precious few breakpoint opportunities.
Example of what I talked about earlier. Musetti standing deep. Ben makes the decision to serve and volley. Musetti has a lot of time to see him coming forward from there. And look where he dips that return. Well inside the service line, makes Ben have to hit a half volley. And he gets a second chance there. The second ball's always going to be an easier ball to pass off of.
15-all.
Lorenzo would love to have that one back after making a decent return on a first serve.
$30-15.
Interesting there, that shot. Ben's a tiny bit choked up on the racket.
Oh. 40-15.
Historically, Musetti's been one of the best returners out there in terms of making first serve returns. Back in 2023, he was second to Casper Ruud. And that's partly why he's able to just chisel them back.
Yeah, that's off the forehand side especially, and I think when you're playing someone who's as big a server as Ben, I think it's a great play. Pick a side that you're going to hit from, pick a side that you're going to block from. Tough to try and be neutral against a guy like Ben.
Oh.
I'll tell you what he has also done on that single-hander is drop it short effectively when Ben has served and volleyed and added extra pace, and then flattened it out or chipped it to great depth.
Absolutely, that's a part of Musetti's game, the capability to do such a wide variety of things from both wings, forehand and backhand. Recognition of where the ball needs to be placed in the court. Playing short when he wants to, playing deep when he wants to. More rotation, less rotation. Big points right here now.
Advantage Musetti.
This is exactly what we saw in the second set. Double fault at 30-all, double fault at deuce here. break that Musetti made in the second set. He missed a first serve on the break point. Not this time.
Yes.
Using the old school advantage of being a left-hander there, whipping it out wide. Ben responds.
Great shot from Shelton there. Musetti took the risk, trying to hurt him there. He thought Ben would be looking for the backhand. The athleticism of Ben Shelton on display right there. Love the way he ran his feet through that. Little slide after the hit, not into the hit. For me, that's hardcore tennis.
Ben Shelton.
A fabulous fifth game. Both playing some spectacular tennis. Musetti so close to going up a break. Shelton keeps him at bay. And that can be the moment of inspiration if you're Ben Shelton on the next game. And there can be a little bit of residue for some of his opponents after being that close. Musetti did a good job of chiseling the first break point back into play. Couldn't really do much else. But that's what you love to see. Third round action here at the Australian Open. Undiluted passion. I always forget the year. I can't remember. It was mid-90s. Agassi at New Haven. I think he was playing Jan Simmerich, if my memory is correct. And he played. And it was the first year that tennis brought music into the changeovers. And he walked off court having lost. He said, "If that's the future of tennis, I want no part of it." I mean, this was the rock star icon of tennis. He wanted no part of music at changeovers.
I was there at that event. I was coaching Jim.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, it was. I remember it very clearly. That's just great tennis to watch. How much fun is that?
The 15 love.
The thrust and parry of each shot within that point was amazing. Musetti again, as most great clay courters do, holding that last ball, making Ben commit a little bit.
Shelton's thrown everything at these opening couple of points.
Love.
He's come away empty-handed for the time being.
I love that the short ball there by Musetti, how he came to that ball, racket set. Again, like we talked about earlier, almost looking like a forehand. The one-handed backhand unit turn, perfectly executed as he came to that ball.
11 for service. Love.
You see the difference sometimes with Ben on a ball like that. I think Lorenzo has that exact same ball. He's going to settle the feet a little bit more. He's going to be a little bit more balanced as he hits that ball. Ben trying to kind of run through that ball almost. I feel like he crashes into it a little bit there and just makes it more difficult for himself to be able to execute that. Oh.
40-15.
It looks like quite a long swing, Musetti's forehand. It goes quite high, but he doesn't break the back of the body line, does he?
It is. It's big. It's long. I'm a big believer. There's not very many guys on the tour that don't have relatively big swings. It's how you generate the pace that they generate. It's a matter of the spacing and the timing that you create. Who had a bigger swing than Juan Martin Del Potro? Very rarely late on contact. A massive, powerful swing.
Well, a bit of a miss hit off the return there from Shelton, but the ball hunted the line down. And he is still stalking Musetti in this 6th game.
You feel the tension in these points. The constant give and take between the serve and the return. Oh. Where's Ben go now? Last one he took a little bit early here. He's gone back again. Could he have come in on that slice, Mark?
He could have.
3 games all.
And it did feel as though that was going to provide him with a better percentage chance of coming away with a point.
Yeah, that's my basis for the question, is that I felt like, is he forcing the play a little bit there if he comes in? Absolutely. Does Musetti have a decent chance at a pass? Absolutely. But I think Ben applies instantaneous pressure. Hey, come up with a shot, make something. If he stays in the back, I think it's advantage Musetti. Take that risk, put the pressure on him, make him come up with something there. Oh my goodness.
Love 15.
He almost got that ball in his ear. The contact point here is so low. Look where his arm is. It's not his arm. He hit that literally down on the throat of the racket. That's a ball that Lorenzo will be
59.
Extremely frustrated with. Just can't miss that ball. Ball in play.
Not up. 30-15.
I feel like there's been an inordinate number of let cords that I've seen in the matches that I've been calling and the matches that I've been watching. I don't know if it's the nets. I don't know if everybody's hitting a little lower trajectory ball, but there just seem to be a lot of let cords.
Well, with the prevalence of power, you probably have to keep it a little bit lower to keep the ball in the court.
Absolutely. Tommy the other night playing against Cain Nishikori. Nishikori had 5 let cords in the first set and a half that all went his way. Maybe that's why I feel that way.
I was going to say. How
Penalty,
skilled
40.
has Musetti been in just making these returns? I said he was a couple of seasons ago, he was the second best in making returns off a first serve, and we're seeing that.
And I mentioned it before, as you get into the teeth of these kind of matches, he's getting a little bit better feel for where Ben's serving, the timing, the pace of the serves. That's a bomb. 221 down the tee.
Fastest serve of the day from Shelton. Bails him out of trouble. Musetti tried to give him the center and then actually moved to close it. There's a lot of chess going on out here at the moment.
Advantage Shelton.
So much chess going on right now. I think that was a really tough choice right there from Lorenzo to try and play a topspin lob off the one-handed side, very close to the bounce.
That's a rarity. Hardly ever gone into the body of the Italian, who is livid with himself. Delight up the other end. It is 4-3 to the American.
Judge, please.
Now, sure,
which might fire him up.
I was going to say, I think the other thing is going to rev him up.
They call that the tomahawk chop. Florida State Seminoles. Great rivalry there in Florida between those two schools. Oh.
There was an ocean of blue down the line.
And Ben got away with one there also. That was not a great drop shot. Sat up a little bit. Lorenzo was there in plenty of time to make the play on this. See where that ball was hip height when he hit the ball. Mark, have you noticed the variance in grunts from Ben? What do you think of that? He actually had one ball there where he didn't grunt at all. The tone changes consistently.
Out.
It's like a playlist.
Yeah.
You think it's intentional? Can you be that self-aware in these moments?
I don't think it's intentional. I don't. It would be really hard to, you literally be focused on your grunting rather than striking the ball. I think it's just something that he kind of like does naturally based on how he's hitting that particular ball. It's just something that we notice. But I wonder if Lorenzo notices it.
Once again, forcing Ben to have no time but to hit his forehand out of the forehand corner.
Yeah, pinning Ben in that forehand corner. Interesting because he's been targeting that side a little bit more than he was in the previous set.
so off-putting.
14-15.
That's been something that I've seen quite a bit here as well this year, more so than I feel like previously.
And it's the one downside with the ELC system is the fact is that if you're not sure, when there were lines people out there, you could see an arm move, and if you didn't see the arm, you then knew the call came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go back and watch game film of other matches, you would have seen umpires also put their hands out at the umpire's chair for that.
I've been feeling that Musetti got that ball on 2 bounces.
He does have the option to video review it on this call, doesn't he?
That's exactly one of the calls that you can ask to video review. I'm actually surprised that the umpire didn't ask him if he wanted to review that.
Great volley. Carved something out of nothing there.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There Ben takes a relatively deep ball, approaches, and lets his athleticism take over.
Out.
That's a nasty second serve from there. Musetti's got to recognize his court position there. That ball shouldn't be. You've got to try not to miss that in the net. That ball's got to be carried really deep through the court. As you often are when you're returning against Ben, you're put on defense on that ball. That's a defensive position. It's a defensive ball. You've got to play a defensive shot.
The luxury of lethal pace, even on a second serve for the American. 5-4. What he was talking about here, here's the little chipper. Did Musetti get it? He said that he got topspin on this side, which is a clear understanding that they didn't get it, but that is that's out the middle of the racket.
Yeah, when it occurred, that ball, and I'm not sure what Ben was. I don't know that there was topspin on that ball. Maybe after it bounced.
Time.
Given how both of these two have kind of got through to this third round, there's been at least a breaker in each of the 4 matches. They've played 2 apiece. Perhaps that's where we're heading. Yeah, it's second quickest of the day.
Great location on that as well.
What's the percentage takeoff pace from your top line serve?
What percentage? There? You got to explain that to me better. You mean?
So if you're serving at 220 like Ben, what would be your sort of safe zone for your average pace of serve?
Got you. That's what I thought you meant. But You were speaking English there
So
for
you
a
did
second.
know what I was saying, but
Oh,
you just
you
wanted
were
to
speaking
humiliate
English.
me on air. Okay, I got it. I'll see how this works.
I mean, I think that
15
you
all.
know, it's an interesting question from the standpoint. Okay, you look at pace, but how you take pace off a ball for one of these guys is by creating more action, more rotation on the ball. So you don't necessarily slow down the racket head. I think that's an extremely important point when you're talking about that. Nice dropper there from Musetti. But I would say for most guys, from where their high end is, you're probably looking at 10 to 15
30,
Ks,
15.
which would be 6 to 8, 6 to 9 miles an hour that you're going to lose if you're, I'm not missing a first serve here. With Ben, obviously that's still an enormous serve. Trying to come forward, trying to apply the pressure there.
40, 15.
I'm pushing for that if I'm sitting in the coaching box with Ben. Continue to do that. It's okay. It's the right play, I think. Put that pressure on. Make him come up with a pass. You see such a difference in the mentality there with Lorenzo coming forward. A natural volleyer is going to keep moving forward and take that first ball out of the air. That was a volley. He's going to get to that ball in the air. It's a volley. But instead, he backpedals, plays it off the bounce, and then retreats to the baseline. Saw him do that a few times at Queens as well on the grass. Oh.
Deuce.
Often the thought is for the baseline who feels he's superior in that department over his opponent is because that's the percentage play to go back and he's going to outlast Shelton. It didn't turn out that way for Musetti. Significant pressure.
First double fault of this set. Massive miss. And now opportunity for Ben. It's amazing what score pressure can do. Staying in tighter this time on the second serve return.
Shelton.
Raw emotion and a huge roar as well in the middle of that rally. Blistering forehand set it up for Shelton, and he goes up by 2 sets to 1.
And then he missed a short forehand, and Ben clubbed that forehand on the break point.
15 love.
Excellent start. Playing downwind for a while after the end of that third set, and this is where Musetti is going to have to be at his best just to stay on even terms.
Absolutely. There has to be a major degree of frustration. And that doesn't help. Ben definitely energized here. That was 225.
Ben Shelton.
Well, quick look at his record. You talked about how exceptional he's been in the majors and how impressive you found that. Just having a look at this, and maybe it goes back to the fact that he's got longer to figure out on the returns. His record on the main tour is 51-45, wins and losses. Gets to the majors, best of 5, 21 wins, 9 losses.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. It's a major difference in the majors. And we saw it right from the start. It's, you know, Ben's coming out party here in Australia a couple of years ago, and making a quarterfinal, like you said, his first trip out of the country. And since then, he's been consistent. Other than, you know, there's that little period in the middle of the year. He hasn't quite figured out the clay and the grass yet. And I think clay potentially can be a great surface for Ben. And the grass, as you mentioned before, he's got to figure the return aspect out. Obviously, he's a great server. But to be a great grass court player, you have to be a great returner. That's the part of grass court tennis that's often forgotten.
Oh. Led 7 serves.
Living on the edge here, and that's what I kind of felt like that sort of third set conclusion came out of nowhere, and suddenly he's got to manage his flat spot, and Ben Shelton in the ascendancy here. Adrenaline pumping for the American.
Yeah, and again, when you get down to these situations where 1 point can make the difference, Ben becomes incredibly dangerous with the power that he has. That's a great play there. In my experience, having watched Tommy play him a few times and seeing his matches, I think he actually does a great job of managing these moments. When he gets a little bit of a lead, he presses that lead by putting pressure just like that, finding opportunities to come in and put pressure. If he gets a look at a second serve here, I'd expect him to take a big rip at a ball.
He is running right.
Shelton leads 2 games.
Immaculate start to the fourth set for the American. And with immaculate timing, I believe Roger Rashid's turned up, which means this is going to go to a 5th set, because that's all he ever does.
Roger,
you're right.
Go back to the green room.
You're right about
Get
that.
away from our court.
A 5th set would be pretty good, wouldn't it?
It would be.
I'm not sure if we're going to get it, because the emotional difference, the emotions are completely different out in the court here. There's a big, obviously, as you guys have spoken about, huge dip at the moment.
Yeah, the Shelton train is picking up steam right now.
The time just for fastballs.
Oh.
I'm sure you guys have spoken about this, but the extra heat on the court today, the bounce to the ball, gee, it's jumpy, and there's no daylight on it at the moment, like sunlight on it.
I like that mentality.
40-15.
You've got a point-ending shot, use it. Not all the time, but when you've just broken free and your man's down.
Let for service.
Showtime. It's Ben's time. 3-love. Well, the mercury has been rising today. And it has been a very good day for Americans. Look at this, under the age of 23. 3 Americans could be there if Ben wins this. We've already got 2 through, and that'll be the first time since the US Open in 1993. It was back in May of 2021 when, for the very first time since the ATP rankings were introduced in 1973, there were 0 American men inside the world's top 30 at that particular point in May of 2021. You look at the multitude of youngsters .
That's some pretty tennis right there.
5 American men inside the world's top 25. It has shifted around very quickly for them. Leonard Tien just going through. Alex Mickelson getting through earlier today. The other 2 that Ben's looking to join.
That's a tough play, actually. Yeah, that's what you're talking about there, Mark, is a transition phase really that American tennis was going through. That was when John Isner, Sam Querrey, Stevie Johnson, the guys that had been the mainstays of American tennis for a long time. Isner obviously had been in the top 10 for a lot of those years. Sam Querrey knocking on the door of the top 10. And those guys were starting to fade a little bit, and yet it was before the Fritz Tiafoe, Riley Opelka, Tommy Paul, all those guys, Mackenzie McDonald, that ended up cracking top 50 and then top 20 and then top 15 for a number of those guys. So there was a period there where if you were just looking at the rankings and the numbers, you were like, where's American tennis? But I think everyone that was really close and involved in the game saw the talent that was coming from behind in those other guys. When you look at where they are now, you know, Taylor obviously has been the mainstay of American tennis now for 3 or 4 years, and knocking on the door, making a Grand Slam final last year. And it's interesting because I'm pretty sure statistically he was the oldest first-time ever Grand Slam finalist. So Tommy's in that exact same age range. It's not like they're youngsters, but I think they're all still improving and pushing forward with what they're trying to do right now. And to come back to this, Ben's been a big part of that, because Ben's one of the guys that those guys looked at and said, man, this guy is pushing us. He's coming from behind as well, and we have some pressure. And you know, as much as we like the guy, you know, we don't want him passing us.
The three Americans that were in the round of 16 under 23 back in the US Open in '93, incidentally, were Pete Sampras, Michael Chang, and Chuck Adams.
Chuck Adams.
And I beat 2 out of 3 of them. That must have been a weak era.
Where is Chucky now? I hope he's doing well after the fires. That's an area that he's always lived in. Chucky Adams. Wow.
Good start. Look at that little injection of emotion as well from Musetti, letting Shelton know he's hanging around.
He's not out of this. He's still only down 1 break. He needs that energy. He needs some emotion right now. He's got to match Ben on that level as well.
The Italian is rising.
30.
Crowd wants more tennis. Roger Rashid has shown up. The 5-set master. Not as a player.
I was 2-0, by the way, when I went to the 5th.
Big point right there for Ben. Roger, maybe that's why you bring that energy.
13.
And just by the way, just to correct you again, and then Leighton went 13-0.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
So I've belted you out of the ballpark, haven't I?
Not for the first time, by the way.
Petch, what do you think?
Yeah, you got the clear W there.
I'm gonna break up.
He's a break-up, but will he remain a break-up?
What a turnaround.
He resisted the forehand this time. And there is a lot of work ahead for Ben Shelton. Magnificent from Musetti.
We don't use the word talent as much. He kind of bludgeons the ball around the court, but he's an amazingly talented athlete, that's for sure. What a great first ball from Musetti there.
15 love.
Pulled Ben outside the doubles line.
Love.
And some of the crowd's affection certainly swinging towards the Italian as he looks to try and extend this match.
Love. Thank you. Ball change, please.
That's exactly what the doctor ordered if you're in the Musetti camp. Hold it, love.
And this is the beauty of 5 sets, isn't it? We really do get to see the characters of the players because there are so many ebbs and flows, swings and roundabouts, pressure, pendulum swinging one way and the other. He was coasting, was Shelton, up 2 sets to 1 and 3 love. This has also not been a happy hunting ground in terms of a scoreline for Musetti. 8th time he finds himself 2 sets to 1 behind only once against Darderi at Wimbledon as he turned around this deficit. It's dug in though.
Yeah, we're at the 2-hour and 25-minute mark now in this match also, and I mentioned early in the match. That's a great shot from Ben. I mentioned early in the match, if you can keep a guy like Shelton out here long enough, does he start to lose a little bit of push with his legs? Maybe he loses a little pace on his serve. He has not so far, that's for sure. He's still dropping absolute bombs.
Yeah, for all the narrative and the negative narrative around big servers, it should always be remembered that it is a skill in itself to be able to serve at this pace for 3, 4, 5 hours.
Absolutely, and I think this is where your off-season work comes into play as well. Ben's a worker. He's a workhorse. He will have put in a lot of time.
That is an apex in terms of his serve speeds. 2-2-4 incoming to Musetti. And it is 4-3 in the 4th to Shelton.
We're lucky. I'll tell you, we're lucky because Tommy was involved with our strength and conditioning coach, Franco Herrero, before I came on board. And Franco does an amazing job. Nicely played, but one of the things I have enormous respect for Franco about is the fact that when I came on board, there were some things that I wanted done a little bit differently in relationship to footwork drills, movement drills, not so much the endurance building and that kind of stuff. That's more in his wheelhouse. But we talked a lot about when he's on court and working with Tommy on his footwork specifically and doing those kind of drills. Great play from Musetti again, looking very comfortable right now. That we wanted him reflecting what I wanted him doing within the context of playing points and how we wanted moving on the court. And some of that was different than what Franco had done in the past. And he was incredibly inquisitive. We had a lot of conversations in the first 6 months, 8 months, 10 months that we were both working together with Tommy. And he adopted all those things. Was very open to listening to them, wanted to learn what I wanted him to do, and it's really, really helped a lot because you get that reinforcement from both ends.
40 love.
So I feel lucky to be working with Franco because of that. I spent some time with a few different guys over the years that were a little bit more difficult when it came to that kind of situation.
He is another one who said he has that shot and awe factor. The crowd just sense that there's something a little bit special at times when it comes off his strings. And for the man that lives in some of the most valuable real estate in the world in Monte Carlo, the most valuable right now is what's above his shoulders.
Thank you. Thank you. Love.
Well done from Ben. Both guys cruising on their serves these last few games.
Ben Shelton.
4 points away, but there's still a lot to do for Ben Shelton. 5-4.
Shelton leads 5-4.
Because Musetti has resurrected himself from the rubble at the start of this fourth set after the dramatic conclusion to the third. It was a slow, sluggish start, but he has been prodded into action. And Shelton serve keeping him out of trouble for the time being.
The advantage from serving in front in a set like this. Ben with some freedom to take some rips right here. And again, we're in a position where he can be a bit of a gambler. He has that power. If he gets a ball in his strike zone, he can just take a rip at it. Now you're down to the, as you said, 4 points. 4 points from the match.
So important as well to stay true to yourself in these moments. Just don't lose your own identity under pressure. A whole lot easier to say when there's so much on the line. These are your dreams. This is your destiny.
Players are ready. Thank you. Thank you. Please, players are ready.
Great start if you're Musetti. First point in these games, crucial games like this, so big to establish a little bit of momentum right away.
11 for service.
He's Italian. He should be able to play soccer.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed by that, honestly. I mean, that's just the norm for him.
He can also drive cars fast.
If Ben had done that, we would have said, wow.
Very low.
These moments, I always feel, are criminally overlooked in terms of just making balls. When you look at the number of points that we've played, 213, but just 60 of them have been ended with winners. Just 25% of the points ended with winners. Balls in court.
Got everything that he wanted. Did a great job there. Musetti, like me sitting here watching, thought Ben was going to take that first forehand to the offside where he normally goes with that ball. Got fooled on that. Had to throw this up, and then it was missed by a long way.
Time for Ben to walk to the tower, reset, compose himself. Untidy end to that last game. Musetti survives the 10th game.
Yeah, those 2 points could have easily put us at 30-all. Easily, both those balls on his strings to finish the points. Big bomb right here, and he'll shake that off.
Boys, I'm sitting down here just in reflection, actually thinking how many great entertainment matches have we had already at the Australian Open?
And you've been the common denominator. The Rashid factor. Every time you turn up, we get a classic. I'll be your agent.
30.
Rashad Langford on the left. His work's going to come into play here, potentially, if we did go to a decider. Strength and conditioning coach Hernan Hanneken from Argentina, his physio. Been with him since last year around Washington time, I believe. Ben taking care of the X's and O's off the court as well as on them in this game.
40, love.
Oh.
Please. And Shelton.
Couple of elite forehands in that game. Shelton, 6-5, fourth set.
Shelton leads 6 games to 5.
Dusted off the debris of the previous game very nicely there, Shelton. Leave a huge void in your life when you decide to leave the sport of tennis. It'll be a while for these two at just 22 years of age, but this is what they live for. There's nowhere else they would rather be. It's the path they have to tread as they try and get themselves through this year's Australian Open. Who will progress? Musetti trying to take us into the tiebreak.
That one is an insane angle from the center of the court. There was not a lot to work with. So short here up the line. Watch where this ball lands. Right from the center of the court. Breaks the sideline. That's impressive. I think that's a really undervalued quality to be able to create angle out of the center of the court. That offside forehand was amazing. You see the beauty of that one-hander. Extension.
How long did he keep his eyes on the ball for?
Yeah.
Love. Musetti. 6 games all, tiebreak.
Well, the Italian probably a little more relieved than Shelton that he's arrived at this destination. He dragged himself back from despair, trailing 3-love in this 4th set.
And just talking with his team about, will I hit my backhand or chip my backhand in off the serve?
Musetti.
That was a tough choice there from Ben. I think he picked the hardest volley to play out of that ball. Body going a little bit the other way, like you talked about on the slice backhand, is the little brother backhand volley there. Back turned a little bit too far to the net. Said he looked to be in control throughout that point. Got what he wanted there. Couple of errors to open these first 2 points. Tension, pressure. Oh.
The value of putting the ball in the court.
2-1.
Disappointing outcome, of course, for the Italian. but there is so much circulating at this stage of a match. You've got to try and put it to one side. Not easy to do, as we've seen.
Shelton outlasting Musetti.
3-1, Shelton.
He's kept it close in rallies over 9 shots. He's won 10, Musetti 13. Credible effort. But he does prefer the shorter version of the game. Called it a few times, Brad.
Yeah, as we spoke about, from that deep position, an opportunity to see Shelton coming forward. Does exactly what he needs to do right here. Dip the ball. Dip it low. Ben's got to recognize that he has to play that volley as an approach shot. It's an approach shot once he's in that position. You can't try and hit a winner out of that ball.
Very animated Musetti there, Roger. Got the sense there he's pointing to his legs almost as though he's feeling it.
Yeah, that's right. And because that ball jumped up a bit, just I think trying to cover that bouncing ball, and he doesn't feel like he's got the same power coming out of the quads. There's not much there, though, really, to work with.
These are the moments, though. You can't leave anything in the gas tank right now. It's all or nothing for Musetti. Regardless of how the legs are feeling, he's got to push through. The brain has to take over and push you through that moment.
Well, the delta of difference between the detonation that he sometimes delivers his forehand with and then the deftness of touch was just too much for Shelton to track down.
Thank you.
The gap's back at 1.
Please.
Oh, my goodness.
Produced beautifully. And it exports misery.
Shelton.
Not his quickest, but his most valuable given the scoreboard.
5-4, Shelton.
I feel like we're right where we should be with this match, Mark. 5-all in the breaker. The tension is palpable from both ends.
Edge of the seat stuff.
Shelton.
And if you're Ben's dad, out of your seat stuff.
Post-celebration, I love Ben's demeanor.
Thank you,
Quiet,
please.
calm.
Sinner, Shelton. 3 sets 1. 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, 7-6.
Pure sizzle from Shelton. Back into the 4th round of the Australian Open. What a match. First win over Musetti in 3 meetings.